big win,
Yeah.
beat the number 15 team in the nation. What are your thoughts on the game?
I thought our guys really competed. I thought our defense did a great job in the first half. That was Penix led the nation in passing coming into this game. For our guys to stake us that lead, when we needed every inch of it, but to put them behind, so it turned into a real big throw game for them in the second half. But we know how explosive their offense was. But we generated a pass rush with our front. I thought our guys did a great job in coverage. To get them to turn it over twice in the first half was really big for us on the defensive side of the ball, and then for us not to turn it over at all. I think that's the big thing we talk about all the time. Winning that turnover battle. You get a shot when you're playing in conference games if you can win the turnover battle.
You're down a few interior defensive linemen. What can you say about how they performed?
Yeah, I thought Jay played. Jay did a great job with the snaps that he got, and then the rest of the guys is just really what college football is all about. It's got to be next man up. With losing Martin for the season was obviously difficult, and feel for Martin, because he's been such a warrior for us. But I think our other guys are taking advantage of the opportunities that have been presented to them, and I thought they did a really nice job.
Lastly, DTR over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. What can you say about his performance and his leadership?
Yeah, I just thought he was clutch. We really, have total confidence in everything that Dorian does. I think he's got a great grasp of what we're trying to do. You look at the last play, it's 3rd and 6. We weren't running the ball, we threw it, but he put the ball right exactly where it needed to be. We converted, got the first down, and more opportunity to run the clock out. But that's the confidence we have in him at quarterback.
Go ahead, Todd.
Seemed like a pretty momentous win. 2 unbeatens. They were ranked 15th. You came out, kind of punched them in the mouth. Just the significance of this win in this moment for the team and where you are and where you want to get to.
Yeah, we were excited. Anytime you get to play a conference game against a really good Washington team, you watch what they did at Michigan State early in the year. Then look what they did at Stanford last weekend. We knew we were going to get everything they had. They're a really well-coached team. We got a lot of skill on that team. And I think the quarterback has really been a difference maker for them. So, we were excited that we got a chance to get one in the books on Friday, and then we can watch some other people play tomorrow.
Just following up on Dorian, was that, he's played a lot of good games, but was that about as good as it's gotten for him here?
No, comparison is a thief of joy. He's had a lot of good games. He had 6 touchdowns against SC in the Coliseum last year. He's had some other really good games too, but this was a great game for him. I'm not diminishing at all. I thought he played outstanding. And that's the confidence we have in him as our leader and as our quarterback. You can ask another question, Ben, if you want.
Bobo just presenting that big target that we talked about, and then Zach with the running game complement. You had a lot of offensive pieces working, and then there were the offensive line too, some big holes.
They did, and I thought Cam Brown really contributed. I think we're getting production out of our outside receivers, for the last couple of years, and because of the talent with Greg Dulcich and Kyle Phillips, we had a little bit more inside receiver. I know both of those guys have gone on to the NFL, one's with Tennessee and one's with Denver, so we know how talented those guys are. But for our outside receivers, for Jake and Cam to step up the way they stepped up today, and become a matchup problem for some people, that was big for us because we can get the ball distributed to the perimeter. But if you got to cover out on the perimeter, then it opens up some holes for Zach, and I thought, Zach carried the load like he's done in a lot of games. So.
And then, the defense has taken criticism a lot since you've been here, but for them to make the stops they needed tonight against a very good offense.
Yeah, I was really proud of them, especially in the first half. I thought their energy and I thought their, how they were playing, the different looks they were doing, the disguise, and the ability to get 2 turnovers in the first half against this team. Because this team had been clicking on all cylinders in the first 4 games. It was, you watch them on tape and you could tell this is a really impressive football team. So for us to kind of hold them at bay a little bit, I think was the difference, really, how our defense played in the first half.
The pick by Blaylock, and then the next play you had a touchdown to Cam Brown. How big was that in the second quarter to kind of swing the momentum and get you a 2-score lead at that point?
Yeah, I think we talk about responding all the time. So when we get a turnover, if our offense doesn't do anything with the turnover, then it really doesn't count. So when you have a turnover, we have to respond on the offensive side of the ball. So if our defense can create turnovers, then we got to respond on the offensive side of the ball and turn that into points. And I thought that's what they did in that situation.
Yeah, you had a crowd tonight. It was pretty decent, pretty loud.
Yeah.
How important is that to you guys?
I think it's really important. It was good that we got the kids back on campus. It's a little bit different. I was talking to Kaylin about it. Washington's a quarter school also. But to get our kids back on campus, for them to come up, for the first time they're back. Then we got to play a Friday night game in LA traffic. I saw 3 accidents on the way to the game. There was, I'll give credit to our police escort. They were weaving and dodging, and there was a lot of things going on. But that's a typical Friday for all of us that live in Los Angeles. So, for the people that came out, especially at 7:30 on a Friday night to come and see a team that I think is fun to watch. So hopefully we continue to grow on that. We got a huge game next week against Utah at home here on Saturday. So hopefully we'll continue to get more of that.
How important was this moment for your kids? Just being on national TV, being under the lights, the only game in town?
Yeah, I think, and we talked about it in the locker room after the game, Bill, this game is a race to maturity, and I think you're going to get tested. But competitors respond to those situations, whether it be momentum swings, adversity, or just random events that happen in a game. But it's about playing the next snap and not being down and having a little bit of resolve. And I think our kids continue to build that as they get going. There's a resiliency to this group. They've been through a lot. We've been fortunate, to be on the pretty good end of the score in the last couple of games. I don't know what it was. I think we went 3 and 5. So they've won 8 in a row as a group. But I think each week they get a little bit better, and each week there's new challenges. Depending on who you play. So we got about a day because we're playing Friday night to enjoy it, and then we have the defending Pac-12 champs coming in here in Utah. So that'll get your eyes up, getting ready for that one. So.
Hey, Coach. How big was the moment? You guys had the ball, 3:52 going left in the game. They just scored, 2 touchdowns. You don't want them to get the ball back.
Mm-hmm.
How big was that for your offense to close the game out for you guys?
Yeah, and we work on it every week. It's forming an offense, and that's what great teams have to do. You have to be able to seal the win, and not put it in somebody else's hands. If we get a chance, we get the ball back here. We know exactly what we need to do timing-wise. We know how many timeouts they have. How many first downs we needed to gather in that situation, and we were cognizant of that. And I think everybody in our offense was cognizant of that. And to watch what happened, and how it played itself out. I thought Dorian made some really big plays in the run game. They were collapsing a lot on Zach, which I would too. But then to finish it off with, the pass he threw to HUD was awesome. And a lot of people don't think, well, if you run it, we're just going to run clock. We weren't trying to run clock. We were trying to win the game. And you put the ball in your best player's hands, and he came up big tonight. So that was good for us, and that's something that we can learn and grow from as we keep working on our 4-minute offense. And if you get to work on 4-minute offense every week, that's pretty good because that means you're winning. So we'll see how it goes from here.
Chip, when you guys were down or up 8 and Washington, it seemed like they were kind of reeling back. What were some of the conversations in the huddle like, and how much of an advantage is having DTR in a position like that, experience?
Yeah, I think our conversations are really just about the game. You don't have to motivate this group and say, hey, they're like this, we got to do that. It's just really what coverages are we getting, what type of looks are we getting, how much inside pressure are we getting, how much is the line moving. If they give us this, it's just really an analytical kind of approach to it. It's not, rah, fire and brimstone stuff. It's just, hey, this is what we got to do to execute. And I think great teams execute, especially down the stretch, and we got an opportunity to execute down the stretch tonight. So.
Congrats on the win.
Sure, thank you.
Hey, so you mentioned sort of the race to maturity. Your quarterback, obviously, is mature. He's 5th year. How much
Age isn't indicative of maturity.
That's very true.
I'm a living proof
Very.
of that. So I know a lot of people I have a lot of friends that are the most immature people I've ever met in my entire life, and age has nothing to do with that. So.
But he has experience.
He does.
Yes.
He does, and he is mature.
Yeah.
Let me give you that too. I think he's played in a lot of really big football games for us. And I can go back to his freshman year. His first start was at Oklahoma. Playing in front of 93,000. The one thing about him is he doesn't get phased. He doesn't get rattled. He's as tough as they come. He takes hits. He gets up and he continues to play, and he's a competitor. So it was really cool to see the game end the way it ended. But I think we all felt really confident. When I talked about made the play call, we were like, all right, let's go. We knew what we needed to do. He had 3 options on the play. He went to one right away and ripped it on time, and it was really just that was a little bit of a microcosm of how we feel about him, and we're gonna put the ball in his hands when the game's on the line. So.
And as far as his teammates and how they feel about him, all those experiences he's had, does that?
Yeah, I mean, they all fester off each other. The great thing about this team is I think it's really selfless. So they really, we use the word Medina a lot, that I vicariously derive joy from other people's success. And I think our players really enjoy that. They don't care who it is, whether it was a pick by John or a pick by Blaylock. Everybody, you look at this team, they had a bunch of energy and a bunch of juice tonight. They get excited about playing and they get excited about winning as a team. And it's pretty cool to be around this group.
Washington defensive line came in pretty good this year. It felt like you guys were initiating contact. It just kind of took it to them early in the game. Can you talk about the offensive line as well?
Yeah, I think our O-line, is really starting to come together. We have a couple kids, four of them all played for us before, but we added one transfer, and I think Raekwon had fit in right from the jump. He has 30 starts in his career, but he picked up our system really well and fit in really well with our players. But I think all those guys are starting to gel as a group. Garrett's starting to get, it's the 5th game for Garrett, and I think Raekwon and Garrett had really big matchups with the defensive ends that we're going to face this week, and I was proud about how those guys handled it.
You went for a couple of 4th downs, and it seemed like you were trying to be a little assertive today. Can you talk about just kind of going for it in a big game?
Yeah, that's just analytics. We know when we're going to go for it, and we know when we're not going to go for it. It's not really it's not a feel thing. I think you try to take the emotion out of some of those decisions. Those decisions are made during the week, so we kind of have an algorithm on what we're going to do, where the ball is, what's the distance, and then so when it comes to it, it's all right, we're going for it. It's not like out of the blue, everybody's surprised, hey, we're going for it. I think our kids understand when we're going to do it. But the numbers will tell you when you should and when you shouldn't, and we kind of just follow that. So.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.